Time. Okay, so we're live. Perfect. So we're going to be talking about today for the LCVP oGV consultancy space, and since we are a few people, also if you have like constant questions about stuff that doesn't make any sense, just interrupt me and ask your questions. There's no problem at all. So yes, first of all, congratulations for being here already and taking this step. And I hope that it's going to help you. So first of all, I hope that you saw this beautiful job description already as LCVP oGV responsibilities. And I'm going to be mainly talking about the thing that we have here, over here. So don't worry, I know that you guys already know this, like approvals, realizations, and so on. So I will try to give you tips and tricks basically on how to compose your applications based on three main things that I already mentioned here in the description. And those three things will be first, product management, second, international relations, and third, team management, which I think that you also have in all LCVP spaces because it's something that's, well, that's why you're applying to LCVP. Cool. So let's start with product management. Since this space is mainly about oGV and we are next year separating the products in the MC level and in some of the LC level, and since, for example, UDP is with us in this moment, I don't know if you guys will separate it, but well, if you do, this is only for oGV, and for OGE, I think you have it on Thursday. So first of all, what does that mean, like product management? Okay, of course, approvals, of course, like numbers, but it also brings a certain understanding of what you're selling and how do you manage to adapt the thing that you're selling to your reality. Because I think that is the main thing that you need to understand and that you need to have it extremely clear to make sure that your members follow you, your EB members respect your opinion because you are understanding what you're doing in the entity. So we're going to be working with Global Volunteer. And as you know, it's a really simple job description of Global Volunteer is develop yourself and the world. And meaning that with this product specifically, we are working with SDGs, right? So for example, the reflections that you need to have when you're doing your application will be why Global Volunteer is important for first my country, meaning, well, even though we are not French like France, why this product is so important that we need to send French people abroad and working on SDGs, and why is product so important that my LC specifically needs it so that you can tailor value proposition also for your LC. I'm sure you already spoke this with Aldo, but even though you're applying for marketing, even though you're applying for oGV, you need to have this extremely clear. It doesn't matter what is your position. I think even like if you're in the EB, you need to have this super clear for yourself. So this is the first thing, right? And this space will be a little more interactive, I hope. So I put here the basic job description of also job description, value proposition of Global Volunteer, so the duration, benefits. Yes.
We're not seeing like your screen right now. It's your face since the beginning.
Okay. You are only seeing me? Why are you not stopping me? Okay.
I thought there were no presentations. So.
No. It's good that I didn't show you that much things. So you saw me speaking super weird. I'm sorry, people, for joining us now. So what I was saying mainly was, first, you already have the screen in your applications. So we'll be talking about three main things that is in the description already, which is product management, international relations, and team management, right? So we started with product management will be mainly about Global Volunteer. So everything I said about how to tailor your value proposition, super specific to your LC, and how do you also synergy with marketing in order to I was showing this, and this is basically a screenshot from the Blue Book, and meaning that like to do so, and how do you make sure that you attract your people based on the characteristics of oGV, because also like if you want to sell this product and if we want to teach this product to our members, we need to know it. So you can take a look. Of course, cross-cultural environment, volunteering experience, personal development. I want you to correct a mistake. I put a mistake here, and I want you to correct it for me. You can unmute. Thank you, Bebe. How much is GV now? 300. Well, we wish. Okay, yes. 300 is the right price, and not everyone knows this still, so make sure that you put the right price in your, because also in NEC, we have the price not changed, so make sure that you don't make that mistake and you put the right price for GV. So the second part of product management, okay, I understand my product, I understand how exactly am I going to work with this product in my LC, but the second thing is customer flow implementation. So the thing that you are seeing in this moment is basically the new customer flow that has been launched, if I'm not being mistaken, around January, and that is the current customer flow that we are. And what does that mean, implementation in my LC of this customer flow? It's basically, you need to know a few things, and if you saw the application like questionnaire and stuff like that, you will also see that we put you questions here that will also challenge how you see this customer flow implementation in your LCs. So in order, what is conversion rates? I already put it here, but if anyone, the two of you can explain also us like what is the conversion rates, can you?
So it's the percentage of conversion, like from a phase to another phase.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's basically that. It means that if you have an event that is like, I don't know, in the middle of Paris, and you have 50 people signing up on isaac.org, let's say that 25 of them will apply. So here it means that you have 50% of conversion between open to applied, and it goes the same as applicant to accepted, accepted to approved, approved to realized. So one thing that you need to understand is how you are implementing this customer flow. It's directly related to your conversion rates, because based on your conversion rates, you can exactly see what is your fuck ups, what is the things that you are doing amazingly, and you can also start taking actions on those things. So here I put a link for you, because if in order to do your application, for sure you will have to work with your conversion rates. So I'm just going to show you where exactly you can find them. It's basically the Isaac Friends page, and you know core. You can see the applicants, the accepted people, everything related to numbers really. And then when you go down, really down, you can see actually what is your current conversion rates between applicant to things like applicant to accepted, applicant to approved. So for example, let's check UDP, no? For example, UDP's current conversion rate from applicant to accepted is 61%. The current conversion rate between applicant to approved, it's 31%. So you need to be able to put these numbers in front of you and make conclusions. So for example, like meaning that if I have here 61, am I losing the half of it here? So what is going on between accepted to approved, you know? So that is mainly understanding conversion rates and improving how you implement customer flow in your end. You can take more look at it after the call. You can check, you can surprise yourselves about the conversion rates that you're currently having, and so on. But this is the first part of understanding customer flow. So the second part of like this huge part will be SOP implementation. Can some of you tell me what is SOP? Okay. Do you hear me?
Yeah, we can, but
perfect. Just checking. Cool. So what is SOPs? Basically, it's standard operative procedures. Is nothing complex. Actually, guys, even when you come to the MC, like you don't need to invent anything. You already have everything super figured out. You just need to find ways to implement it. So what is the standard operative procedure? It is basically the thing that we have, maybe you've seen this in the CXY master tool. So it's basically a guideline for all the EP managers to how to perform and how to achieve EP management. So it means that based on customer flow, how is an EP going to go, and how as EP manager am I going to follow this EP? So for example, we are saying all the time, let's say that if an EP subscribes on isaac.org, we need to call them in 24 hours so you can see that, and after that send an SMS, 48 hours call again, and then offer the EP country partner opportunities. So here's all the things that we need to do as Isaac side for making sure that this EP is going in a super smooth customer flow. Here is the Isaac France version, but I want to show you as well what Isaac International did super recently, like 1 month ago, even less, I guess. So I want to show you, it's going to be a checklist because I think you need to be aware of this since you're going to be tracked and report, like you're going to be reporting based on it. So here it's supposed to be written pre-attraction. So for example, it says, I have analyzed, I did that, I did that, I did that. So everything that needs to be done before attraction, which we already know what it is. We do events, we try to have more and more opens, right? So this is, for example, a checklist, and it goes literally until the end of customer flow. So for example, it says consideration, EP managers are being assigned by my TLs, if you have TLs. Why we have a different one in Isaac in France actually is not a different one. It's just a simplified one. Because I know that if we, first of all, if we downscale this directly, it doesn't make any sense. So when you will be elected, I hope, or we will see, when you will be elected, you will also take this in front of you and see how exactly these stages make sense for your LC. So for example, let's say for the payment, right? So for the payment, we all know that France is a more tricky country where banks don't work most of the time. So probably you will have to put a different process there. And also, since we are using EverSign, our online contract, you can also put this in the SOPs to make sure that we have a clarified and easy SOP to follow in our local entities. But know that starting from next year, the AI will start tracking MCs based on this checklist. So they will be sending this form that MCs will check how much are the things that we are actually doing. So for example, this check, and same thing will go for the LCs. So the LCs will be expected to have this for their own LC, and the MC will track the same way that AI is tracking the MC, the LCs. I used a lot of abbreviations. I hope it was clear. If it's not clear, you can ask me questions regarding this. Yes? Okay. Perfect. So like based on the things that I'm saying, for example, what I can show you is, for example, in our process time, it says accepted to approved and like send IBAN, EverSign. So it's really, really customized. Probably like throughout the entire Isaac in France, it will not change so much. And it's also like this SOP, you can take it as basis for your application, because it's created in lead conference by your LCVPs current. So it is also reflecting the reality of Isaac in France. So since we are achieving to have 10 days process time between applied to approved, this is something that you should be also striving for. And even so, that is actually all for product management. Like literally, you don't need to know anything else for product. Your conversion rates, your process time, and your SOPs. Those are the things that will guide you and make sure that you know your product and you know how to downscale things to your team. Everything clear for product? Do you want to revisit some things? Is there anything that I couldn't explain well?
Everything clear for me?
Okay, perfect. So based on that, we can move to international relations. It's going to be super easy. Again, I know that here some of you are marketing, some of you are OGX, maybe other, I don't know. But it doesn't, every operation person in this entity are using one customer flow, which is the thing that you are seeing right now. And even if you're ICX, even if you're OGX, it doesn't matter. There's always a before side that we were mentioning of this attraction, because we don't just go and do stands, no, we take our time, we design the stand, we define our target, like how exactly we want to attract them, which opportunities we want to attract them. So it's the same thing that I showed you. Again, SOPs, this will be literally your life. Is the phase of pre-attraction. Starting from pre-attraction, we start working with IR. Why? We will talk about it later. But here, for example, you can see that there's even a checklist for IR partnerships. So I already defined my realization, a process time. So for example, if I'm working with Brazil, I cannot say them, hey, you know what? I will approve your EPs in 15 days. Because you know what Brazil will say? Fuck you guys. No, you can't do that. Because in Brazil, for example, apply to approve is almost 3 days. In Italy, apply to approve is 4 days. In France, currently, is around 19 days. So this is why we are trying constantly to improve our process time. But this is such an important expectation to set. This is such an important expectation to set with our IR partners. And the timeline of this is when is going to be your realization, when is going to be your attraction. So timeline needs to be also established with the IR. So why IR per se? By these 3 things, and that is it. Faster, because we are clear on what we are selling. We are clear on what exactly is going to be the timeline with our partner. Trustable, because we don't want to have EP cases, and we are certain that the thing that we are selling is actually a good quality GV. And easier to sell. Why easier to sell? Because we are actually knowing what we are talking about. Because we can sell teaching projects all over the world. And it doesn't change anything. It doesn't change anything when it comes to, when you say someone, hey, it's a teaching project, well, they probably have seen that in millions of places. What is the thing that makes your project a little more special than the others? And with the knowledge of IR and with the knowledge of your country partners' projects, you can actually find these little details that will create the selling points for the projects. Because if I just try to sell an education, it's a teaching project, go teach English, well, it's kind of mainstream in the moment, so it will not make a difference. So there's in the questionnaire an IR question as well. So I want to just give you tools on how to do the analysis on IR. You already have your IR partners in your LCs. Maybe you work with Indonesia, maybe you work with Brazil, in specific LCs, of course, in these countries, but you already have them. The idea will be to see what is the conversion rates with them, for example, right? And I'm just gonna show you how to see that. If I have internet, if I don't have, I'm just gonna put it in the, how do you say, at the end of the thing, like screenshots, and you can see. But in Expo V2, unfortunately not currently on Expo V3, there's ways on seeing entity analytics in the analytics section. So for example, when I want to check how am I doing with Morocco, I need to just go and say, okay, so for example, opportunity committee, Morocco, EP committee, so it means that I am sending. France, so until, let's say, today. What is today? This. And I say apply. And if I'm lucky, which let's see if I am, or maybe I'm not lucky. Well, if I was lucky, it would appear here the number of applicants, the number of accepted, the number of approved, and all the flow will be appearing here. Yay! So I can actually see what is happening with me and Isaac in Morocco. So for example, it says that currently with Isaac in Morocco and Isaac in France, we have 8 approvals. And this 14% means that we actually grew together 14% compared to the last year. So this, but it also says that I have 56 applications and I have 26 accepted. So this is a little curious for me because it means that almost half of my applications are not accepted. So probably I should talk to my LCVP IGV in Isaac and Morocco and say, hey dude, like what's going on? We have applicants, but they're not being accepted. So how we can improve this? So this is the kind of approach that you need to have with your IR partners. And this is how you can see your conversion rates with your country partners. And you can just keep France, or like, for example, you can put here also Université de Paris, it will appear. And you can put here the LCs that you're currently working with or that you wish to work with to prove a point. To say, for example, you can put a LC that you are not currently working with, but you see a huge potential with, and you can see if you can prove that you are already growing or you have a lot of applicants towards this LC, you can maybe start thinking raising a partnership with them. So yeah, that's the idea when it comes to the faster. So the trustable part, first of all, since it was mostly like data, I want to ask, is this is clear, the faster part?
Yeah.
Cool. So moving on to the trustable part, it's basically communication. I know it's cliche as fuck, but if you don't communicate, if you don't build trust with anyone really, they will not work with you. They will not work with you. If it means that sending a meme, if it means that having a WhatsApp group together where you can share things, where you can, I don't know, share even your daily problems with these people, they will not work with you. Well, how I work, for example, with my IR partners, I send them literally like monthly messages on how they're doing and like reviewing the conversion rates. And we have a WhatsApp group for daily communication with the VPs. So for example, if we have an applicant together, we can process them here. We can say, hey, UDP, you have an applicant with Indonesia. So, oh, let's go, let's go, let's go. So we can actually keep each other accountable in this kind of groups and so on. But how that worked, because, for example, from my side, and I know from many of my VP's side, they already have calls. They already set expectations. For example, if I'm gonna send you a message, you need to answer me in 24 hours, like the same kind of expectations we are setting with our teams. We need to set it with our IR partners so that we can keep this thing moving. And the part of easier to sell, maybe you saw this, maybe you didn't. I also want to share the CXY master tool. So we have a master tool in the entity that you can have a lot of information. So for example, this was the thing that the SOPs that I recently showed you. You can see who's actually winning in their respective products. You can see the outputs of our calls. So actually, I consider you can check this out for like having an idea of what are the VPs are talking about. And here, when it comes to IR, here you can find the search tools. So why this is important? It's because you can just click on it instead of going to isaac.org, and you can see the information on most of the opportunities. So for example, if I want to send my people to Isaac in Greece, let's say, I can just click here and see what they have. Well, it's already approved, but here when you click the opportunity, it will redirect you to the to isaac.org. But here you can have an idea of what is the project, and if you want to have more knowledge, you can also go and see the link instead of searching it on isaac.org. This is much more useful, and you have many of them here. This IR is put also based on potential partnerships for next year. So what I suggest for you is to take a look, and if you have a country that you want to work with based on, I don't know, a lot of applicants, based on market need, basically, you can check it and you can see, for example, Italy have a lot of refugee projects, right? Or education projects or summer camp projects. So how that can work with my LC, how that can work with the schools that I'm working with. So this is the kind of approach that you need to maintain when you're choosing which kind of IR that you want to work with. Okay, cool. Coming back. So, any question regarding IR on how to set IR? And I forgot to add something which I want to add. You have a question?
No, it's okay.
Cool. I will also put the link of this analysis that I already made, and your VPs already have access to this, but it's basically every single thing that, for example, you can choose your LC here, and let's say UDP, and you can see what is your timeline when it comes to approval. So, for example, March, and what was your IR in previous 2 summer peaks. Since summer peak is our biggest peak, you can have a lot of idea on where are your people are applying to, or where your people are being approved to. So you can also take this into consideration. For example, here you can see that there's a huge Brazil IR in UDP, and you can make conclusions out of this, and you can see how actually you can focus on some countries than others, and some SDGs than others. So yes, this is, I will also put this in the output so you can check it out. But basically, besides this, let me go, not this one. Okay. Wait, I lost it, yes. Cool. Basically, from that side, that is it. So, well, I was showing you the timeline. Can anyone tell me where this graphic is coming from? Okay, so it's coming from Expo V3, and it's something that you need to understand also before applying. It's basically, when is my people are being approved? Because it will mean a lot for you when it comes to setting the expectation with your IR partner, when it comes to setting your marketing activities. So here's an example of Lyon, let's say, is outgoing entity in Lyon, GV, and it's their last term. So from August 1st to the August 1st, the next. So here I can see that the red one is approvals, right? And they approved the most last year in February, which is super curious because it usually is March or April. So for example, Lyon approved most last year and you can also see that they have the most of their realizations in June, July. These 2 months are the top 2. Well, why? Because logically, since it is the school holidays, this is the moment that people are going to exchange. How you can reach this thing? It's from Expo V3, the all good Expo that we know. And here you have, in the bottom part, you have graphical analytics. So when you click on it, something like normally this will appear. And here you can change the entity, put your own, and see what is the kind of timeline that you have. And for example, I'm going to put France. Or not. It's not the first time that Expo is failing me today.
It never works for me.
Yes, okay. Also, this is a pain that you will share with your fellow LCVPs if you get elected, yes. So yeah, it doesn't work. But normally, what I want to show is that when you click on this thing, so for example, you can click on applications and only applications will show. So you can also see it in what moment of the year so you can position most of your events there to use that timeline. You can put approvals again for positioning the applications and realizations for the value delivery peak. So that is the idea of understanding a peak and using it to your advantage. Everything clear so far for the timeline?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Can you hear us?
Huh?
Yes, I said yes.
Okay. Cool. So how exactly customer flow works when you work with an IR partner? basically, it is already will be in the SOPs, and it is already, but I'm just gonna take the part of IR and show you how it's changing. So, of course, you promote the IR partner. You don't just go say, hey, like, we are Isaac and we are everywhere, so go on isaac.org and apply everything you can. No, we just send them clear opportunities, clear guidelines on how to apply to what opportunity and why, because it will benefit them the most. So we're doing the selling part. And then in the consideration, of course, we are communicating with our IR partner. It can be in WhatsApp groups, it can be in Messenger groups, depending on what is the usage of both. And then in preparation, so for example, we are currently in this moment of consideration preparation in the year that is intense. So we are approving a lot of people, which means that we are also preparing a lot of people to go abroad. So that's why, for example, we are working with the VPs on clarifying our OPS, which is the outgoing preparation seminar. So how was the seminar for our outgoing EPs will be. And once we have this, you know, there's also IPS, so incoming preparation seminar. So these two things will need to be aligned with our IR partners, because it is important for expectation setting, because we don't want to say something different, the two of us, because then you lose all the legitimacy. So that is the idea of also communication throughout the entire customer flow. Then, of course, standards delivery, the 16 standards that we have start in this moment by our OPS, expectation setting, and so on. And standards delivery host LC, of course, we need to check up with our IR partner if everything is going okay, if there's something we need to do, and so on and so on. And of course, when they come back, delivering completed experiences, so doing the standards survey also, materials of our country partners from our EPs, so that we can also run, again, the attraction phase much more clearly. So that is the part of international relations. I can accept questions right now for international relations because I realized that I didn't put something that I want to show you. So do you have any questions?
Okay, so actually I have one. So
yes.
As an LCVP, do we have right to choose our country partners, or we should follow the MC France country partners?
So actually, it's a good question. It's a good question. Personally, how I did the MC IR is based on the LC's IR. So I analyzed, for example, the thing that I showed you, I analyzed to which countries we are having most of our applicants, with which countries we have good conversion rates, with which countries we have good communication. And this is how in the MC level, the IR is set. So you can also follow the MC IR, but you will need to focus on some LCs that you're already working with. And if you see that you have an IR partner already that is working amazing for you, and the MC didn't choose to have this IR partner because maybe you are the only LC that have this partnership, you can still keep working with this person. There's no problem with that. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, thank you so much. That was super clear.
So I want to show you guys something as well. I already shared with your VPs, but something that you need to know when it comes to IR and standards delivery is that we recently changed our exchange standards. So the good old thing that you know as probably in the state of here is no longer. It's actually simpler, so it will make our lives much more easy. So based on the customer flow change, what AI did was just taking the standards and putting it under the new customer flow. So for example, we have a preparation phase, right? Regarding to that, we have also preparation standards. So it's all phased. And then we have an experience phase. Then regarding that, we have standards to follow. And then the post-experience, we have the debrief, which is the new exchange standards. It will look like this. There is absolutely nothing in the content that changed. Nothing, nothing, nothing. Only some names have changed, which, for example, I can show you, like here, you have explanation of every single change. So you have the current version and the new version. And I will just share with you something that changed, for instance, for giving you an idea. And let me see. Okay. So for example, opportunity benefits was basic living cost, which was basically something that no one fucking understood. What is basic living cost? What is basic living cost? So they changed it to opportunity benefits, the name, and it is mainly like any financial or non-financial compensation. It can be, for example, the food covered, the transportation covered, and those type of things covered. That's it. And it gives a more clear understanding of what is that standard. And here you can also see the questions that have been put to the standard survey, because how we understand if we deliver the exchange standards or not is basically by the standard survey. And the EPs are answering this. And you need to also know what is the EPs facing, so that you can set the expectation of, for example, did Isaac and host deliver the benefits, la, 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 la. So probably before going on exchange, you need to clear that what are those benefits, so that after the exchange, they will be seeing it and like, oh, yeah, of course, like, yes. And they can just put yes. So that is the idea. I will share the link of the booklet so you can take a look. But basically, you have everything explained here. I will not explain all of it. But do you have any questions regarding the exchange standards?
It's okay for me. Thank you.
Perfect. Okay. So now we're gonna go to the team management. That was it for IR. Team management, because, wow, I didn't realize that I put that transition. Well, because it's the most important thing. Yes, I think everyone put it. So it's perfect. Basically, I know that sometimes seeing this when it comes to teams management, it's scaring, blah, blah, it's a lot of things. But it's actually, when you put it in a time frame, it's not that much of a thing. So there's already a couple of standards that we need to fulfill. Like, again, this is minimums. And luckily in Isaac, like when it comes to managing a team, we don't need to invent things. We really don't. Like, it will be up to like how good of an implementer you are when it comes to this. Of course, you can plan all you want, but if you don't do your weekly meetings, if you don't do your working times, if you don't track your team, it will. Well, I'm just doing approvals as an LCVP. So this is something that that we need to follow, basically. And I know that most of us saw this already, so I'm just gonna move super easy. There's 3 stages: building, performing, closing. And based on timeline, it changes. So for example, now that your LCP, let's take it, your LCP right now is in the part of collecting their team. So they just open VP applications. And once you guys are hopefully elected, transition will start. So with your current and with your LCVP elect, you will start the transition. You will get your core competences and functional skills. You will set your team rules with the LCP and team plan. So how much exchange are we going to do? How much exchange? And depending on the area, it will change. So for example, for PM, it will be how many of PM implementation we're going to have in the LC. We set a goal. And for marketing, how many applicants we're going to have. But like marketing and oGV are kind of linked always. And so on. So, and then, of course, you can expect your LCP to set with you your development goals. So how exactly this falls in the individual plan, how exactly you are going to develop thanks to the experience that you are going to have. And that is the building phase. That is it. Like when you think about it, it can be done when you put in a time frame. No need to be scared. Then performing. So for example, we are currently in the performing phase of Isaac in France, let's say. And right now, of course, results elevation, practical learning. What does that mean? So we are going, doing stands, doing selling points. So that is the idea. And team working times, that is the whole point of April. We are in most of the LCs, we're currently doing team working times. What does that mean? We're just sitting together in a team meeting and calling people, our EPs, let's say. And like literally, guys, all of these things, most of them can be done in a team meeting, like accountability system. Basically, plan versus achieved. Like Aldo is sitting next to me, right? So Aldo, what were you supposed to do this week? This. Did you do it? Yes or no? That's it. And of course, individual tracking, you can also make this happen in the team meetings. And team weekly, monthly, quarterly review. This is a team meeting with a fancy name. You just review the month instead of reviewing a week, or reviewing, let's say, quarter instead of a week again. And support system, lead spaces based on your LDA, team meetings, one-to-ones, like all of those things that already are supposed to be happening. Then we're gonna be moving to closing. So debrief, so plan versus achieve. So if Isaac and Friends wants to have 700 realizations this term, how much actually we are going to have? This is something that we are going to have, for example, also in the MC at the end of our term. And feedbacking. Then we are already starting transition because the new MC team is getting together. So we're gonna start transitioning them with the knowledge and skills and our fuck-ups and our tips. And then individual debrief. So me personally also with my MCP, I define what is going to be my personal development plan, right? So I need to sit down and see actually if I managed to have the things that I was supposed to be having. So that's it, guys. That's team standards. Like there's literally nothing to be scared of. It's a routine. It's a routine that you will be setting with time. But if you have it in mind in beforehand, and if you try to already set expectations with yourself, it will be easier. I have one final message on why like this team standards and team management is the only thing actually, is the only single thing that matters. Because okay, you can have all the products knowledge that you will have, and okay, you can have your IS super cool, I'm working with Brazil, if I'm working with Indonesia, but team together. If you don't set expectations, if you set rules, if you don't like take care of them, basically, you will, again, I will repeat this, you will be an LCVP that is doing everything by their own. And that is the only thing that is causing so much problem usually, because usually what is the complaint that we have when we are MCVP, when we are LCVP, when we are TL member, whatever? I cannot manage my time. I cannot manage my time because I'm trying to do everything on my own and I don't delegate. Because why? I don't trust my team, blah, 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 blah. Because why? Well, I didn't train my team. So that is the only message that I want to give you. Every single question that you see in the questionnaire, take it on a point of view that, okay, so I can plan all this, but how exactly with my team we are going to implement it? Or what is exactly the information that I need to give to my team for making sure that this happens? I think this will make the difference, and this is the only thing that I want to say. And with that, open mic. Do you have any comments, questions? Is open space.
I don't have any question.
Okay, wait, I'm gonna find you. I hope I can find. Yes. So hello, we have a new. So guys, do you have any points that want repetition? Anything else that you want more detail on that I can help with? Yes or no? Melissa.
No,
yes.
For me, it's okay. I understood quite everything you said. So.
Okay. Perfect. And Luca?
Yeah, it's okay for me.
Okay. Perfect. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining. And know that I stay like fully available. If you have any questions, you can always reach me. And yes, just good luck and enjoy your process a lot. And because it's going to be the only time that we're going to be doing this process with people, so make sure that you enjoy. And that's it. So have a good night. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Bye.